The third trailer for Avengers Doomsday finally teases the crossover that I have wanted ever since the MCU began. And guys, I think this movie's gonna break a lot of hearts and kill our childhoods. Welcome back, ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things you might have missed in the newest trailer for Avengers Doomsday. So this is where we finally get our real look at the X-Men in the MCU, and it's gonna be brutal.
What do you mean? I thought all the X-Men movies were in the MCU.
Well, not exactly. So here's a little background before we dive into the trailer, and then I'm gonna tell you what I think the trailer means for the plot of Doomsday and the new mutant saga for the MCU. The X-Men were originally not a well-selling comic book for Marvel, and they were nearly canceled. But then in the 1970s, they revamped the team with a multicultural international membership. Then writer Chris Claremont came on board and made them the top-selling comic book of their era. Most of the X-Men storylines that we see adapted today are still pulling from Claremont's decades-long run. And then we had two crucial X-Men adaptations that gave us the modern Marvel age we still live in. There was X-Men the Animated Series, which proved that a comic book property could be told with dramatic weight. And that series also gave Fox the confidence to make X-Men the movie in 2000. Look, we take it for granted now, but it was a huge deal seeing a Marvel movie that wasn't a low-budget piece of crap. That movie kickstarted a franchise that would go on for 13 films. However, and I know you guys know this, then the MCU kicked off this idea of an interconnected universe, and fans wanted to see the X-Men in the MCU interacting with the Avengers. The problem is, though, in the 90s, Marvel sold the film rights to Fox for just, this is unbelievable, $2.6 million. And this meant that the X-Men could not cross over with the MCU, and they took place in a different universe. But when Disney bought Fox in 2018, Marvel got the rights back to the characters. And I think this is the whole reason they decided to do the multiverse saga to begin with. Remember, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has a lot of affection for this franchise. This is him as a young associate producer on the first film. Marvel could have just rebooted the X-Men, then slowly introduced the mutants into the MCU, but Feige didn't want to see this universe end with a whimper. So instead, they created the mutant saga. So now, Doomsday is our chance for the original X-Men film characters to meet the MCU characters and for the teams to interact. So Avengers Doomsday is not just an ending to the multiverse saga, it's an end to the X-Men franchise.
Are they not going to make more X-Men movies?
No, they are, but Kevin Feige said they're going to do a soft reset of this universe afterwards. So the new MCU saga will likely be the mutant saga, which we'll talk about later. Now, I do want to say, sorry this video is coming to you guys a little bit later, but we had to take some time off for the holidays while also juggling all the stuff that's coming out right now. And just to give you guys a little insight onto how we normally make these videos, normally I'm up and at my computer hours before the rest of the team logs on, so then I can have everything written and recorded by the time they're ready to edit. So this means that I have a bad habit of plowing ahead of my day and forgetting to eat breakfast, forgetting to walk dogs.
Yeah, and it's really a problem, believe me.
Yeah, and it sucks because I really want to get back in a healthy routine in the new year. I want to eat good. I want to work out every day. But then I finally nailed down the perfect two-step routine that works for me. I have a daily greens and a Huel Black Edition ready to drink from Huel, the sponsor of this video. So now I start with one of these daily greens ready to drink. This one is blueberry, lemon, and thyme. It's my favorite flavor. It's delicious. It tastes like a soda, and it has 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods, only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, 1 gram of sugar, and no prep at all. But then, to give me a boost for my early morning workouts, I like a Black Edition ready to drink. My favorite flavor is chocolate. This is also a complete meal. 35 grams of protein, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, balanced macros, and it's under $5. So using these two drinks has turned my mornings around. I have the energy to start my day, and I feel better for my workouts later on. So if you are wanting a balanced diet that sets you up for success every single day, I recommend Huel. You can get yours today with my exclusive offer of 15% off online with my code ScreenCrush15 at Huel.com/ScreenCrush15. Now this is for new customers only. I want to thank Huel for sponsoring our video and supporting our show. This stuff is delicious. I can't believe how affordable it is. You will not regret it. Now back to what I was saying. Let's dive into this trailer and what it could mean for Avengers Doomsday. So we start with this kind of roving POV shot inside the X Mansion. Now this is instantly recognizable as the mansion that we know from the original X-Men films, where Xavier ran a school to teach mutants how to use their powers. And then Ian McKellen's Magneto says, "Death comes for us all." all. And this is one of the reasons that the X-Men work so well as a concept. Chris Claremont and John Byrne's classic story Days of Future Past showed us the mutants' future, when they are enslaved by mankind and wiped out by giant robots called Sentinels. So this story gave the X-Men comics stakes. We saw the consequences of their failure. And in the movies, we've had the same feeling of approaching dread. In X2, humans invaded the school and took mutants captive. They tried to wipe out mutant kind in X3, and we saw the Sentinel program destroy mutants in the movie version of Days of Future Past, and Logan even showed us that the mutant race could be wiped out with corn syrup. And now, in this movie, we will finally see the death of the mutants. So then in the trailer, we see a light shining, calling back to the lights of the soldiers when they invaded the mansion in X2, and then the camera pans to a doorway, shining a kind of heavenly light. Just as Magneto is talking about death, we see this potential escape to heaven, as he says, "That's all I know for sure." And then we see the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters plaque on the ground, implying that the X-Mansion has been destroyed or is under attack. I mean, fair play, it gets destroyed more than the Jedi Order, am I right? Magneto then adds, "The question isn't, are you prepared to die?" as the camera continues to move through the mansion. Now this could also be Professor Xavier maybe using his powers to see through someone else's eyes as they travel through the mansion. And then we see Xavier, played for probably the final time by Patrick Stewart, as Magneto finishes, "The question is, who will you be when you close your eyes?" So once again, we are hearing about the certainty of death here. The X-Men and their universe will be erased, but how will they fall? I think this is dialogue lifted straight from the movie that is all about a key choice that the mutants are going to have to make. But first, let's finish the trailer breakdown. Next, we see a chess piece levitating from a checkboard. So remember, as far back as the first X-Men film, Xavier and Magneto played chess together. This was symbolic of their ongoing chess match as they wrestled for the future of mutant kind. Xavier won a piece with mutants, Magneto wanted to dominate them, but this is also reminding us of their enduring friendship that we saw unfold in X-Men First Class. This piece is the Black Queen, which could have a few meanings. First, let's assume this is Magneto's piece. He always played black in his games with Charles, after all. Now, the channel New Rockstars theorize that this could be indicating that Magneto has a queen on his side, which they think is Magneto's daughter, the Scarlet Witch. And remember, we did see her in this universe as a child in Days of Future Past right here. But I'm wondering if this could also be a reference to the Black Queen of the Hellfire Club in the comics, Jean Grey. But I'll talk about her appearance in the movie a little later in the video. The piece then levitates, probably meaning that Magneto uses his powers to levitate it, and then he reaches out for the hand of his former enemy. And then we see Xavier dressed in blue, the color of the X-Men, and Magneto in a shade of red, similar to his uniform from the comics. Notice that Xavier is wearing a fully comic-accurate blue jacket with an X-Men patch. This is showing how their design is going to really lean into the 90s aesthetic from X-Men the Animated Series, and of course the Claremont Jim Lee comics from that era. They're both old now. I mean, Magneto has long hair, as the Avengers theme slowly plays on piano. And then we see the wheels of Xavier's chair, just like in the original X-Men films. Now this is instead of the yellow hover chair that Xavier used in Multiverse of Madness. This is a subtle indication that this is the Xavier from the original Fox films. But then this leads into the money shot, the moment we've all wanted to see ever since they announced they were making an X-Men film. James Marsden returns as Cyclops. Now this alone, for me, is kind of a big deal. Remember, in X-Men 3, Jean Grey became the Dark Phoenix and then killed this version of the character at the start of the movie, and that was incredibly lame. Cyclops is personally my favorite X-Man, and he is a key part of this Dark Phoenix saga. That's when his love Jean Grey was possessed by a cosmic entity that drove her insane. So removing him from that storyline in the movies just to replace him with Wolverine felt like a waste. Now, after the events of the movie Days of Future Past, Logan altered the timeline and James Marsden was brought back to life.
Good to see you, Scott. Uh-huh.
And now he is back, finally getting his hero moment in this role. So a few things to note here. One, he is wearing the comic-accurate classic blue and yellow suit designed by Jim Lee. This is obviously the same version we know from the animated series. Now, when the movie came out, director Bryan Singer wanted the X-Men to feel as real as possible, so he dressed them up in leather jumpsuits, prompting this line.
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Which of course, X-Men 97 later poked fun at.
What'd you expect? Black leather?
But now we live in an era where you can wear a silly suit like this and be taken seriously. Cyclops is in the middle of battle, his face is dirty, and he removes his visor, probably to make a blast so powerful that he can't hold it back. And then we see what he's attacking. These are the legs of a Sentinel, the massive robots that are programmed to hunt and kill mutant kind. Now, we briefly got a glimpse of the classic Sentinels in the Danger Room in X3 and redesigned versions in Days of Future Past. both in the 1970s and in the future. The Sentinels are one of the X-Men's greatest existential threats. I mean, after all, they're the embodiment of mankind's fear and paranoia that could wipe them out. But in this movie, Sentinels aren't going to be the main threat. The Avengers are.
Now, just say right now?
So this is where we get into the comics and a little bit of theory time. In the 2015 version of Secret Wars, the whole buildup was a comic event called Time Runs Out. And this is when the Illuminati, which is basically a secret cabal of heroes, discovered incursions. And like Reed Richards says,
an incursion occurs when the boundary between two universes erodes, destroying one or both entirely.
So in the comics, this leads to some heavy moral debates among the heroes. They invent a device that could destroy another planet to save their own universe. They fought against heroes from another Earth and then killed everybody on that planet. It was a classic trolley problem. Do you kill the few to save the many? And I think that's the moral dilemma that we're going to see play out in this movie, which takes me back to that chess match that we just saw. See, Magneto could be raising the king, or like I guess Xavier could be moving it with telekinesis, but the point is one of them is likely either admitting defeat or forfeiting the game. And this means the two of them will now be working together. Now, it could be that, like we saw in the movie Days of Future Past, they're working together against the Sentinels. But I think it's more likely that they're going to be the victims of an incursion, and they are going to have their own moral debate. Will they destroy another planet to save their own universe? Now, normally, Magneto wouldn't hesitate. He would destroy another planet in an instant. But this conversation where he says, who do you want to be when you close your eyes, is telling us that maybe finally he's a changed man. Maybe he's telling Xavier, if we're all going to die no matter what, then shouldn't we die doing the right thing? Maybe in this movie, Xavier is the one who's advocating destroying the other universe, and his old friend is the one who's pulling him back from this moral brink. Or Magneto's meaning could be the opposite. Maybe he's telling Xavier, why would you roll over and show your belly? You should fight for your world instead. And this was always the best part of the 2015 Secret Wars storyline, watching superheroes face these kinds of moral questions. Normally, heroes have a very cut and dry decision to make. They have to beat up the bad guy, but Jonathan Hickman really put the hero's morality through the ringer in this storyline. He put blood on their hands. It would be a waste if the movie Doomsday didn't do the same thing.
But how does this all connect to Doctor Doom?
Well, look, in the multiverse saga, we've seen that these universes can be wiped out pretty easily. The TVA could snuff them out with their time charges. Kang could snuff out timelines by killing a few Nexus beings. Remember, those are the people whose actions create branching timelines. But we also saw that using an evil book to travel to another universe can also turn those universes into black goop. Remember, in the show What If, Doctor Strange tried to rewrite time and destroys the universe. And he also creates a memory spell that almost caused several realities to collide just so Peter could get into college. In Deadpool and Wolverine, we saw the TVA create a device that essentially accelerates the decay of a universe. Oh, and also a popular person dying in your universe can apparently snuff out trillions of lives. But most importantly, in the show Loki, we saw what an incursion looks like. A horrific event where the world turns into spaghetti and then everything's just gone. That series ended with Loki facing his own moral choice. Does he allow everyone to have free will and eventually die, or does he oversee a single timeline that doesn't even allow for free will? Instead, he opts to stabilize a great multiversal tree, which means that now endless timelines are growing and branching, which of course creates an exponential amount of potential incursions. And this is where Doctor Doom will step in. Now, I want to show you guys this kick-ass new shirt at our merch store for the Latvian Doomsday celebration. Note the year 1984, the original Secret Wars comic release date. We also have Tony Stark creating Ultron, I Hate You 3000, and lots more items in our merch store. The links for those are below. I love that shirt. Mine's in the mail. I can't wait till it gets here. Thank you for supporting our channel. Now, in past videos, we've said that he will be a Tony Stark variant who lost everything but never gave up the Infinity Stones. Tony's universe was likely destroyed by an incursion, so now he wants to create a suit of armor around the multiverse.
I see a suit of armor around the world.
To do that, he might have to collect super powerful children like Thor's daughter Love. In the X-Men universe, this could also be the daughter of Cyclops and Jean Grey, Rachel Summers. Now in the comics, she is an incredibly powerful mutant who took on the name Phoenix. But in future comics, we also met Hope Summers, who is an Omega level mutant that is called the Mutant Messiah. Now she's not really related to Scott Summers, Cyclops. She actually took the name after she was adopted by Cable, who's also Cyclops' son. See, Doom could arrive on this world to kidnap this child, be it Hope or Rachel, and then this could lead the X-Men to travel the multiverse to find her, just like the Fantastic Four. Remember, the post-credit scene of that movie ended with Dr. Doom talking to Franklin Richards, who was another powerful child who could be first on Doom's kidnapping list. Now, if Rachel Summers is in the story, that would explain why they are placing such importance on Cyclops. Maybe they're going to simplify the story and just say that Hope is his daughter with Jean Grey.
So where's Jean Grey?
Well, as far as we know, she's not in the movie. See, in X-Men 3, we saw Famke Janssen's Jean Grey go insane and become the Dark Phoenix. And in the comics, and in the movies and animated shows, the Dark Phoenix is like a Huge cosmic checkmate. It's a powerful entity that is destined to destroy basically everything. So if she was in the movie, then that would have to be what the movie is about. Seeing heavyweights like the Phoenix and Bob and the Scarlet Witch fighting would probably overshadow everybody else in the film. But Famke Janssen has said that not only is she not in the movie, but they didn't even ask her.
They told me I'm not invited.
So it could be that Jean has died in this universe and Hope/Rachel is all that Cyclops has left of her. Regardless, even without Jean Grey, this movie is going to be filled with goodies for X-Men fans. Kelsey Grammer and Alan Cumming are returning as Beast and Nightcrawler. And remember, Monica Rambeau was actually trapped in this universe at the end of the Marvels. And also, Channing Tatum's Gambit is confirmed to star.
Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
The X-Men are unique among all other heroes because their existence has a ticking clock. They don't just face supervillains who want to kill them, the world wants to kill them. We always knew that they could be wiped out one day, and now that day is coming. So the question is, like Magneto says, how do they want to die? Who will these characters be when the end comes? But then remember, this won't be the end of the mutants in the MCU. There is a new X-Men movie releasing in Phase 7, directed by Thunderbolts director Jake Schreier and written by Michael Leslie. Now it's likely going to feature a younger cast, although Marvel has implied that Hugh Jackman will continue to play Wolverine in the MCU for a while.
They're gonna make him do this till he's 90.
Personally, I think that's a mistake, and they should actually pass on the mantle of Wolverine onto a younger actor so we can explore how a new version of Wolverine interacts with the new X-Men cast. It's rumored that they are looking for younger actors to fill the roles, and there is a lot of speculation that Sadie Sink is actually playing Jean Grey in Spider-Man Brand New Day. I think the X-Men are a natural fit for the MCU. This is a universe that has seen absolutely crazy stuff go down, everything from alien invasions to the Snap. We've seen that the public tried to blame and control superheroes with the Sokovia Accords, but then they needed the Avengers to bring everyone back. So what if the public are still looking for a scapegoat and it becomes mutants? After all, mutants could be anywhere. Your own child could be one of them. And we also know that the Department of Damage Control is going to be a major antagonist in Spider-Man Brand New Day. So what if in the mutant saga, Damage Control becomes this new antagonist that is tasked with hunting down and controlling mutants? After all, they've already become the government's check on superpowered people. They went after Kamala Khan and Ms. Marvel and Spider-Man in No Way Home. And remember, in No Way Home, they confiscated Stark Tech, specifically his drones. But what if it didn't stop there? What if they used some of that confiscated Stark Tech to maybe create their own Iron Legion? They could take Tony's designs for his robot drones and repurpose them as mutant hunting drones, Sentinels. And a lot of that could start with this trailer. But what do you guys think about the newest trailer? Are you pumped about the movie? Do you think they're going to do the X-Men dirty or do them right? Let me know what you think down in the comments below, or at me on Twitter, Blue Sky Threads, or our free to join Discord server. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.